Driverless cars that government regulators in other states have cracked down on, in recent weeks, are actually on their way to Atlanta.
So the Cruise robo-taxis are expected to hit Atlanta streets in a matter of months. So Channel 2 consumer investigator Justin Gray headed to Texas to get a closer look at the technology. And Justin, you're live in downtown Atlanta. This is something you report.
Well, George, it was just 3 days after I tested out those driverless robo-taxis that Cruise announced that it was adding a human supervision back into every single car it has on the road after a serious pedestrian accident. Now, this matters for Georgians because, as you say, the next place those cars are coming, it's right here in Atlanta. It feels automatically kind of natural. It's just there's nobody sitting up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I traveled to Austin, Texas to test out a taxi cab with no driver. This is my first trip to Austin. It's kind of an interesting way to see the city. At the time of our test, Cruise, owned by General Motors, had about 100 self-driving robo-taxis on the road in downtown Austin. Cruise's Austin general manager, Mike Staples, took me for a spin. He was also in the back seat, nobody behind the wheel. And we just came to a full and complete stop at a stop sign.
Yep.
We came to check them out because these robo-taxis are coming to Atlanta next. Cruise has already sent vehicles to map Atlanta streets.
Cruise provides a service that's much like your standard ride-hail or delivery service, but we do it with autonomous vehicles. And we like to think we do it safer.
The question about safety is a big one. Just one day after our test rides, the state of California's Department of Motor Vehicles suspended Cruise's permits to deploy driverless vehicles because of concerns about pedestrian safety. 2 days later, Cruise announced it was pausing all rides without a person monitoring the vehicle. Quote, while we take time to examine our processes, systems, and tools and reflect on how we can better operate in a way that will earn public trust.
In my opinion, a driverless driver is mindless, and that just sounds a little reckless.
Bailey Pishner says she saw something similar to this video another Austin resident recorded when lines of Cruise cars stopped and backed up traffic.
They kind of hit a nick in the road, and they were kind of like bunched up.
Are they ready for crazy Atlanta drivers and crazy Atlanta roads here?
I don't think so in that sense.
Georgia Tech professor Srinivas Pita studies autonomous and connected vehicles.
There are going to be hiccups because our vehicles, the infrastructure, and the people are all conditioned to humans driving. We're actually hitting someone.
We're about to hit a car.
Yeah.
No harm when the system went haywire in Dr. Pita's lab, but for these driverless cars to get smarter, they have to be on real roads in real conditions.
They're constantly collecting data.
The biggest thing I noticed on our test rides is the Cruise vehicle is at times very cautious. I see a jogger. The car first stopped, then pulled over when we saw a jogger on a dark road.
The vehicle's going to take the most conservative action. In some cases, that might mean it's going to stop.
Federal regulators at NHTSA have opened an investigation into concerns Cruise vehicles may not be exercising appropriate caution around pedestrians. There have been dozens of incidents in San Francisco. Just last month, San Francisco emergency crews had to use the jaws of life after a Cruise vehicle stopped on top of a pedestrian who had been hit by a hit-and-run driver. But Cruise maintains its vehicles are safer than human drivers.
We are in 65% fewer collisions, right? We are in 94% fewer collisions where we are the cause of the incident.
It was the first time it's really done something a little odd. In my test ride, there was one rough moment. We're actually stuck in the road here. The Cruise couldn't decide when to make a turn onto a busy road and then just stopped halfway through, temporarily blocking the road. That car was flashing its lights at us, telling us to go. Professor Pita worries what that could lead to if it happens on, say, the downtown connector.
We are simply, even in the context of the autonomous vehicles, we are talking about children rather than adults.
But like with children, Cruise says when the robo-taxis hit Atlanta, they'll start slow, with a small area they cover that eventually grows as they show they can handle Atlanta's unique city streets. All in all, I can say my Texas rides went smoother than many taxi or rideshare trips I've taken.
What do you think? Does it feel pretty normal?
Surprisingly kind of scarily normal, right? It's amazing how quick you get used to the fact that no one's up there. And Cruise tells us they haven't issued a voluntary recall of software, adding in a new software fix after that pedestrian accident in San Francisco. And while Cruise won't give a specific date, we do expect, George and Karen, that they will be rolling those vehicles out on roads here in downtown, maybe midtown Atlanta in the next few months.
Yeah, so Karen and I, by the way, Justin, could not take our eyes off of your report. We're glad you're okay. So when you say a couple of months, really, that could actually happen in a couple of months?
Yeah, it can. And now we know right now that they have those supervised rides in every city. And that's what they're going to start regardless here in Atlanta. When they move into a new city, they start with that human in the car monitoring the situation. They go a few weeks, maybe even a couple months like that. Then they roll out the driverless cars. Again, though, right now, all their vehicles, those driverless vehicles on hold as they deal with the fallout from these pedestrian accidents.
So in a couple of months, we have you signed up to take that ride again in Atlanta. You
Done.
ready?
Done. He's ready. Justin, thank you.